Hello, I'm Roland. Welcome to Speaking of Everything. With me, he's not a stranger at all. I've known this gentleman many years. Worked with him when I was head of the Government Information Service, and he was the chief meteorologist right at the Juliana International Airport. Who's this person? Mr. Ashford James. How are you doing, sir?
Good day. I'm fine.
Good to have you on the show, man.
It's a pleasure also.
You go back a long way, huh?
Long way from the mid-80s.
Yeah, right. You know, it's amazing because so many people know you from the 80s, and a lot of people used to rely on your information. It was as if James is going to be like that, it's going to be like that.
Yes.
You remember those days?
I remember those days, I also remember when I used to have a meeting in the EUC, and then they would want to take decision. I said, no, let's wait until the next update, because taking decision of, let's say, closing businesses or thing is very easy, but you also have to look at the economic impact. So it is important not to take those decisions too early.
Yeah. And they respected your opinion at that time.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't an easy group at all.
No.
You had Ralph Richardson was the lieutenant governor.
Yes.
Rudy DeValley was...
Yeah, then after you had Joe Peterson, who was disaster coordinator. Yeah. You had Dollison, then you had Combs, and all those people then, yeah.
But it was a great team, man.
Yeah, it was.
And when with all your experience, because you came from Curacao, but you're actually from St. Martin, right?
My dad is from St. Martin, James from St. Martin.
Right. So when you came to St. Martin, that was what, in 1980?
It was 85.
85, yeah, okay. Yeah. And then I went to work with the government in 1987, so that was 2 years after you was at the Met Office.
Yes.
When you look at meteorology today, did it change a lot? Still remain the same, and we have all this Doppler radar and all that thing now?
I think it is more, more equipment, etc. But a lot of things are computerized, but you still have to take that data and translate it to your local condition.
That's where the problem comes sometimes. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember back when the radar was functioning.
Yeah.
And I used to go visit you at your office, the Met Office, and you could look at the weather patterns like 200 miles to the east of St. Martin.
Yes. The radar had a range of 230 kilometers. That was the radar range, Yeah.
And did that help at the time?
It helps because you could see as the system approaches, you can get very accurate and fine details of what it contains.
So it's good to have a radar. I see they have a radar back now functioning again on St. Peter's Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's quite interesting because you got your training. Where you trained as a meteorologist?
I did my initial training in 72, 73 in De Beeld, Holland. Went back in 73 to Curacao. And then in 79, I went to do my university training in Reading, England from 79 up to 83.
No, why I ask you that question? Because people watching this show, young people, you never know, they might want to be a meteorologist. When you was a young guy growing up, is that what you wanted to be?
In reality, I wanted to be close to aviation. I applied for the tower, but then they said that, yes, your eyes in the future will be such that you cannot do the work. So I decided, let me try meteorology, and I was accepted.
I get from knowing you, you love what you do.
Yes. it is very interesting. Once you learn it, apart from the theoretical training, the practical training is where you get to know the stuff. You understand where you are, where you're working. You see the difference. You know what to look for, etc.
So, would you say that it takes many years to really develop to become a real good meteorologist?
It takes some years. It takes because theory is theory, but you have to understand how the synoptic pattern interact with the local condition.
Right.
You know?
Because when I speak with you, and I mean, we could go back different years, and you could describe that year how it was.
Yeah.
That comes with the years of experience.
Yes. And for the general public, important is, especially those who have been living here, when you expect a system as a cyclone, to tell them, compare it with either with Louise, Marlin, Dean, Hugo, then they can understand it better than just only giving them the strength and details. But if you tell them, hey, compare it with that you experienced before, is very helpful.
Do you think we've learned our lessons since 1995 with Lois?
I'm going to be quite honest. Maybe we have improved, but I remember after Irma, there was this hype of building back better and stronger. I do not see that this has been done satisfactorily. No.
But some people will say, if we didn't have Lois in 95, Irma would have been even worse in 2017. Is that
okay? Irma, if you compare Lewis and Irma, Irma was stronger. It was stronger, and I would say that we were lucky that it didn't last longer.
It moved faster, right?
Yes, if it did last longer, the damage would have been much more severe.
Oh, so then, but Lois stayed longer, right?
Yeah, but the difference in strength is what counts, and because it's the duration of a certain strength that is what causes the damage.
Oh, okay. So then, in terms of these two hurricanes, Irma was
stronger,
but shorter over us, right? The duration was shorter.
Shorter. Yeah. It was shorter. Yes.
And the Lois was just the opposite.
Yeah, it was less than, but it was long. Yeah.
And that could be quite an impact on a small island.
Yes. It is. You should compare it with jackhammering a building or something. That force hitting it.
Yeah. Well, what from your experience? Because I always hear people say, it's not the wind, it's the water. Is that accurate?
Each one of them have the impact. The wind and the water. The water, when we say about
storm surge.
We talk storm surge, wave action for the low-lying areas. That is what caused their problem. But for the whole island is the wind, and you have wind, storm surge, and you also have the flooding.
Flooding is becoming quite a concern now.
Yes, and I think that we have not made a comprehensive plan with regards to dealing with another Lenny, for instance.
Yeah.
Or another, what's that one? There was one in 79.
Who goes on that?
David, yeah. I think. We have not made a comprehensive plan because after Lenny, we got some pump on loan from the Netherlands. But important is that, especially that we have filled up part of the salt pond,
Right.
we should have on the island pumps to, in case of getting something like that, to mitigate the flooding.
Yeah.
And we haven't done that.
So, do you think that the biggest danger to us right now is flooding?
I would not say the biggest, it is a threat, but we have to understand that flooding occurs because with Lenny, you had a buildup of rainfall over a certain period,
okay.
and then you get Lenny. So the ground already was saturated, and then you get that problem of flooding, and especially if you have a system that is slow moving.
You know, Mr. James, today now, a lot of people, they don't listen to the weatherman anymore. They tune into social media, they get the information from somewhere outside, and they think that that information is relevant to them here in Ireland.
Okay, one have to say, they are, I could say that, they are on the internet, like Mr. Brian, the weatherman, he is very good, but it's all about synoptic, the large scale. But when it comes to detail for your local, where you live in, is another thing to be able to interpret the information.
So the interpretation is important.
Yes, and understanding what the system will do with your island. For instance, you have now a system over the Eastern Atlantic that is expected to become a hurricane. Initial forecast is that it will pass to the north. We do not know how close. But again, you have to monitor it and see, but because it changes and it is still developing. As it develops, the path might change. But what one can say is, at this moment, we are going to get rough sea condition. And then one will say, okay, remember when we had Josephine, when was north by Antigua, and we still had Phillipsburg, a lot of stores, them get impacted, flooded, and a lot of merchandise was floating. So that is what we have to say. Something similar we have to look for that at this moment.
When a meteorologist like yourself give a forecast, right? How important is a 5-day forecast as opposed to, say, the 3-day when the system is closer?
The 3-day forecast is more, you can give more weight to it. One have to understand that the 5-day forecast is a projection, and it can change. So it is important to continue monitoring the thing. The shorter the forecast interval, the more weight you can get to it.
Okay, so then basically when it's 3 days, you gotta be really prepared.
You could get us, yes, you could say, yeah. And another thing with regards to St. Martin's, from my experience, one have to look at where the system developed near the West African coast. If it is a low-lying, low-latitude system, then you could say we are most probably in trouble. In trouble is that it will affect us in some way or other. But if it is a higher latitude, it then it could pass to the north of us. And there's a difference between a system passing to the south, and you look at a system passing to the north. When it passes to the south, then you get the onshore surge, and that will affect Great Bay, all our southern coast, and that is where we have the majority of our infrastructure. You have the harbor, Phillipsburg, the airport, etc. So a system that passed to the south causes more problem than a system that passed to the north.
Now that you've said that, when you look back at Irma in 2017, Sandy Ground got hit harder than Phillipsburg in a way. Any reason for that?
It depends how the flow is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that hurricane just passed completely over us.
Over
right?
us.
Yeah.
But then Sandy Ground, when it is, let's say, moving away, they get the southwesterly flow, the southerly flow, and the southerly onshore flow is what causes a lot of damage.
And I noticed too sometimes after a hurricane pass, like 20 hours after, you got all this like backwind coming from the system.
That is part of the tail, the influx area of the system that affects you.
So I'm gonna go back again and ask you, based on your knowledge and seeing what's happening, 1995, 2017, people said they're gonna build back stronger. You remember 1995, Dennis Richardson was at that time lieutenant governor.
Yes.
And he said, well, you know what? No shacks are going to be rebuilt in a particular area. I drove around there and I look at all of the things that have been built back right there. And then Irma came and the damage wasn't that bad. So people say, well, you know, something we're doing good.
Let's put it this way. People have improved, but it's not yet where it should be. That is how I look at it.
Yeah. So you got to be still prepared, ready.
Yeah. But take, for instance, Simpson Bay. If you look at the buildings that were built after Louis, there's a lot of new building.
Yeah.
But if you look at how high is the foundation, Jesus, Simpson Bay is just a sandbank. It's not very high. If you get a system passing to the south, easily, then you ask, why? And I remember that, I think it was last year, there was talk about changing the building codes, etc. But where they contacted TNO in Holland. But again, I look at it this way. Hurricanes are not like mid-latitude storms. They are more stronger. The wind and the acceleration of the wind is different. And I believe that we should have looked at someone like Tony Gibbs from Barbados, who's an engineer, who have studied the impact of hurricane on critical infrastructure and understand the wind dynamic.
What's the name?
Tony Gibbs.
Oh, from Barbados?
Yeah.
You know, when you look at Phillipsburg and you look at houses that were built 100, 150, you see a difference in the foundation too?
Those houses was built, although let's say they were not built by engineers, but the people then had a good knowledge of building to survive.
Yeah, and that's crucial.
Yes,
definitely. Well, in case you've just joined us, I'm Earl Gibbs here, and speaking of everything, my good friend Mr. Ashford James, a former chief meteorologist at the Juliana International Airport. I say that, but it was for the whole Dutch side, actually, right?
Yeah.
And he's now retired, and it's always good to have him here in the program. But he also going to share with us a telephone number because you can still give forecast.
Yeah, I do give, yeah.
All right, good. So we're going to touch on that when we come back right here on Speaking of Everything on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. James, my commercial is saying, ask him another question. So, the information that you need, right, for the public, you gave that on WhatsApp?
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I do. When there's a system that potentially or will threaten St. Martin, I do a forecast.
And how is that so far going?
It's good.
It's good? Okay, good. All right, now we're going to go to that commercial break we were telling you about right here on Hot 99.9 FM radio, Facebook, and YouTube.
We are vibrant, expressive, warm, and diverse. Together, we conquer, and now we expand into new horizons, giving you more of the best. Introducing our new Banco Matico Plus with wider acceptance, purchase protection, and enhanced security. Whether you're online, traveling, or in paradise, experience more with Windward Island Bank. Banco Matico Plus. More of the best.
With me here on Speaking of Everything is Mr. Ashford James. He's my guest, and it's always a pleasure having him here in the program on Speaking of Everything, YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. So you have this thing where you send out the forecast, and
yes.
I get it, on WhatsApp, and it's very, very good. When I read it, I say, okay, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
If James say run, I'm gonna run.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. So you have a lot of people that...
Not a lot, just it's a small group of people that together. But anyone asks me, I want to send me a message, and I make if I'm making a forecast, I include them in the list and I send it to them.
All right, so you want to share that number again with us, if you don't mind?
556-0013.
That's
556-0013. What's up?
Right, great. So far this season, you haven't sent out anything yet?
No. Okay, the only thing I sent out was with regard to this system.
Right.
Informing, hey, there's that system that is going to be monitored.
But when you look at how it's been so quiet, normally I remember some years we had hurricanes in July.
Yes,
and everything else, that doesn't happen anymore.
This year is very quiet, extremely quiet, and I even think, it looks more like a El Nino year, but I think maybe it's just a year in between El Nino and a changeover year.
Yeah.
Because the forecast of the National Hurricane Center says a 60% chance it will be above average.
But I hear that almost every year now, for the last 10 years.
No, not.
Above average.
For a few years I've been above average because of El Nino, etc.
Yeah.
But we will see how this year. We are now going, today's 11th, so we are now going into the active phase, the real, because remember the 10th of September is the peak hurricane season, so we are going to where definitely things are going to wrap up. I remember for several years you will see that if you look at satellite pictures of, let's say from the 22nd up to almost the 28th, you will see various clusters of system that develop. So we are going to the active system, part of the hurricane season.
So you said from the 10th of September is the peak?
10th of September is the peak.
Okay. But, I remember one year we had like 4 or 5 storms lined up in the Atlantic.
Yes, that is August. You don't see that happening. And ending of August, the 3rd, 4th week of August.
What is there a reason why we see hurricanes forming in different parts of the region at different times of the hurricane season, like the Gulf of America or the Gulf of Mexico?
Okay, in reality, the season starts June in the Gulf of Mexico, where you have frontal system that comes over United States and stall the Gulf. The water is warm, not like a big ocean, so the temperature rise and then conditions become favorable for formation of tropical system. After that, it stretches to near West Africa, where you start to get you get tropical waves start coming off of Africa around April, May. But then they are weak. But as time go by, they get more stronger, and then you will see them coming off of Africa and then reaching the Caribbean.
Let me ask you this, Mr. James. So we've been seeing a lot of Sahara dust in the atmosphere. Is that good or bad? For hurricane?
Health-wise, bad.
For hurricane now?
For hurricane formation and precipitation. For hurricane formation, it inhibits hurricane formation. It inhibits formation of tropical system, cloud formation, etc. So it also suppresses rainfall.
Oh, okay.
Because what happens is, as it is summer over Africa, let's say Northern Africa and Western Africa, you get a high pressure. And the high pressure, that it doesn't, once it's a high pressure, you don't get formation of rainfall. And the wind, which is northeast, the trade wind, blows all of that dry dust over the Atlantic Ocean into the Caribbean.
So the dust in the atmosphere is bad for our health, but at the same time, bad for hurricane formation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Suppresses formation of tropical system and even rainfall.
I've noticed this year we've had a lot of Sahara dust now.
We had a lot of Sahara dust. That's why the plants them are suffering.
Yeah, yeah. That's an enormous heat, huh?
Yeah.
You throw the water and it's like, doesn't make much.
No, because the water, let's say GB water, only keep the plants alive, but do not leave them strive. So
you need that rainwater.
You need that rain. If you get a few days of rainwater, the whole place become green because all the plants start to get new leaves.
Yeah, and we need that now.
We need that.
Yeah. When you look at what's happening, because everybody I speak to now is saying, boy, I'm going home, lock up my air condition. When we were growing up, Mr. James, we didn't have air condition.
No.
We had a little house with a little window. And
Okay. One of the things is we have changed the way we build. You sometimes drive around and you see new building going up, but people put smaller windows. Before time, the windows used to be big so that air can come in and keep the place at a reasonable temperature.
Yeah.
When you make windows smaller, the place is going to be hot. You need to have something to compensate for that heat.
But then a lot of people are saying afterwards, boy, you got to make smaller windows, you got to make less glass windows and doors. So all of those things, probably they will listen to the wrong people.
No, okay. When it comes to building, I noticed that we tend to copy building styles that are not for the tropical region. A lot of people have sliding glass window. They're either closed or open. And with security, you have them closed, but then you have to compensate for the heat. Before time, we used to have yellow sea, and you have these French windows you go open. Right. Those are better because it allows ventilation. But sliding windows, and even you see some like modern buildings, they put glass panel. The glass retains the heat in the building.
Oh, okay.
That's why in Europe they use a lot of glass to be able to get some of the heat.
You know, I always hear people say, and maybe you could help me on this. I don't know if I've asked you this over the years, but it's like when there's a hurricane, right? And you're in your house, you can feel the pressure in your ears.
Yeah.
I only felt that with Lois. I didn't feel it with Irma, but with Lois, I could feel the pressure. Right? And some people say it's good to like open a window on the. Is that true?
No. With a hurricane, you have to close.
Close all the windows. Keep all the windows closed.
Yeah, because once the wind get in, the roof gone.
So why some people are saying on the opposite side you got to open the window? You've heard that before?
I heard people saying it, but it's not true.
Don't do it. Okay.
With a tornado, you do that, but not with a hurricane.
Okay. Explain us what's the difference between a tornado.
Because a tornado is small, but the pressure is very low. So if you don't open in the building to get an equalization of the pressure, the building will explode.
Oh, okay. So again, they should listen to what you say. You got to keep all your windows closed.
Yes.
All right, that's good advice. The thing about it is that when you look at St. Martin, I've noticed too, because I'm more conscious of things now, right?
Yeah.
And I remember in 1984, I went to work in Muller Bay, and I just came back from the States because I'd worked in Muller Bay before, back in the 70s. And I noticed a unique pattern, and maybe you can explain this better for me and my audience. In the early parts of the year, say late January, early February, I have noticed ground seas almost every year. From the time I started looking at it in 1984. I can't recall a year that it wasn't there. Is that something, why is that?
The ground sea is part of, remember, when it is winter in the northern hemisphere, you get winter storms. They are low pressure, which is very large, and they have a fetch. Fetch is the circulation around them is very large. And then you get waves coming out from that winter storm, reaching the Caribbean as swells. And that causes all that problem with the seas. And you will see that there are sometimes, let's say by Caravanserai,
Right.
a lot of sand.
Yeah.
And in other part of the year, it doesn't have much.
Yeah. It's amazing because I mean I live just on the ocean. I look over and I still see it all the time. Late January, February, I couldn't figure that one out at all.
Yeah. That is because of the winter system.
Yeah.
And what I used to do, track to see if the system, the center is, normally there will be at latitude of New York, Boston.
Right.
But if you have one coming low latitude by Florida of thing, then you could say, hey, that's going to affect our sea conditions severely.
No, I look at the news and I see in America temperatures of 110, 112. We've never gotten that kind of temperature here.
No. Remember, they have the mountain range on the west.
Oh.
So if the wind is coming from the west over that mountain, on the western side, it rains out. And when it comes down on the eastern side, it's dry, and the temperature become a lot hotter than on the western side. You get what we call adiabatic warming.
That's great. That
makes it's hotter on that side because it is drier air and it's higher temperature.
You know, it's so interesting because when you look at St. Martin, right? We are saying it's hot, and I have a thermometer, and I measure the temperature. In my living room, it's around 92 degrees Fahrenheit. What's the highest recorded temperature that you could recall in St. Martin?
I cannot.
You think we ever hit 100?
Listen, the first thing, one, how to define where you measure.
Inside,
normally,
outside.
Yes, you how to. The temperature that is normally given is in a shade, not in a shade.
So it has to be in a shade to get
Yes.
it accurate. Yeah.
That is what the standard that you communicate. Let's say in meteorology, in a shade. That's why they have a special house in they put the thermometer and it have good ventilation and it measure the temperature in a shade.
Because I mean, these days people are saying it's hot, but when you look at it, we can't compare to the U.S.
No, and not only there are other places in the world that you hear some temperatures. Jesus, how are they going to survive? You know?
Exactly. I don't know how the hell they survive that kind of heat. Yeah. Then we have the trade wind too, right?
Yeah, that helps a lot. And the trade wind and being an island, that make a big difference. A big difference.
Yeah.
Because generally the sea temperature is lower than the temperature on land, so it have a cooling effect.
Makes a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's next for Mr. James? I mean, your kids are all growing up.
I just taking it easy, looking around. Yeah.
So you get to see your boys often?
I go at least once a year. I go to the Netherlands, stay a few months there. Yeah.
That's nice. So you get to see the family and everything.
Yeah.
They all have their own families now, right?
Yeah.
So you have your grandkids and all that.
Yes.
They keep you busy, right?
Yes. The only thing, I tend to go to spend Christmas, and the cold is not easy.
Oh, you don't like the cold?
I don't like the cold.
I love the cold, just the opposite of you.
Yeah, but okay, and I think even if you compare Holland with the states that's in New York, the weather, there might be not much difference in latitude,
exactly.
But the temperature in New York, blizzards and all those things, because the air comes from the northwest, from Canada,
and the Great Lakes.
Yes, and that's awful. While in the Netherlands, when you have westerly wind, it comes from the North Sea, and the North Sea takes a while to really cool down, so that moderate the temperature. It's only when they get wind from the east that come from the continent, then you get that chilly weather another year.
Well, I can tell you, because I went to study in Buffalo, at the University of New York in Buffalo, and there it's incredible, huge snowfall. Sometimes within a 24-hour period, you get like 12, 18 inches of snow.
Yeah.
And temperatures dropping all the 27 degrees minus Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Real hot. Yeah. I mean, real cold.
And the thing in Holland, if Holland gets snowfall, it's minor.
Not much.
Minor. And I don't think they have 10 snow days. And maybe not even 5. You might do they're going to say snow thing, but by morning,
it's gone.
disappear. You know.
That's great.
But that is all because the North Sea.
Makes a difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ocean have a profound impact on the weather of places, honestly.
Yeah. And before I go and ask you, maybe this might be a kind of silly question, but I hear people talking about it sometimes. They say, oh, but it's so hot. We might soon get an earthquake. Is there any relationship there?
None.
Okay.
None.
So you hear it now, people? None.
None.
Okay.
It is a
But
common thing.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Common thing people say, but there's no relationship between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So we get it from the expert.
Yes. There's no relationship.
Yeah. Again, before we go, give us your WhatsApp number so we can have that if you want.
556-0013.
That's a number that can get updates from you. When
Yes.
there's a hurricane.
Yes. When there's something that potentially which can threaten our islands, or will threaten, either potentially or definitely. Outside of that, I do not do forecasts.
Yeah. You're doing it for the love.
Yes,
right?
yes, because I have a group of people who really want to know what's my opinion, then I give it to them.
And it's confident knowing what your opinion is because based on your experience over the years.
Okay, yes.
Definitely. Mr. Jim, I want to thank you for coming in, man. Always a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ashford James on Speaking About Everything on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM Radio. See you next time. Take care. Bye.